I'm very interested, to hear this from your perspective because, when it comes to the general audience, to people who are not really aware what's happening when it comes to these sort of global situations and global problems between countries and political issues and so on and so forth, the dynamic in the world is such that people tend to formulate their opinions on the matter based on media, based on information that might be transformed or twisted off in a certain manner so it can fit, certain agendas. And you're probably one of the few people in the world that have the luxury to base their opinions and knowledge on certain situations on actual facts, which I think is something that, most of the people in the world probably not have the chance to do. So, how do you, which is like the process of forming your opinion on certain matters, especially when it comes to this sort of global situations. And for example, I'm mainly referring to the war in Ukraine at the moment. And obviously, we have the Eastern Europe part of the world, which is quite biased towards Russia, for example. At least, the majority of the people over there. And, it's very much blasted with certain ideas supporting Russia's case. And then you probably have, people in the opposite that are forming their opinions in a different way through different sources and so on. So what would you say is a good way, and it's a good mental pattern to have a knowledgeable, objective opinion on things and to be sure that you have a real outlook on what's happening, not just towards this situation, but in general, I guess.
Yeah, it's a good question because I think this actually is going to be fundamentally important for democratic societies moving forward. I think we really need to work on civic education and how to consume information. So for me, at least, one of the things that you learn both as a journalist and in the intelligence world, of course, is always question the source. So where is the information coming from? And why did this person give you this information? What is the motivation of that person? What is the chain of that information reaching me? How many different people did it go through? So the person I'm hearing it from, did they get it firsthand? Are they the primary source? Did they hear it third hand? Did they hear it in a bar? Did they hear it from somebody who was drunk? Did they hear it from whatever? What are all of the intricacies that led me to have this information? And so you always need to know the source and the motivation of the source. And then you also want to know the history of the source. Has this source been good in the past, provided good information? Have we corroborated information from this source? And I do the same today. That was what I did when I was at CIA, and I do the same today. So we are bombarded with way too much information now, and we've lost a lot of the gatekeepers because we're now moving to independent journalists, and newspapers are breaking down. Local newspapers are almost gone, and they were the ones really who knew their beat the best. And so you have sort of those gatekeepers are now gone, and now anybody who thinks they know something can present it. And a lot of people don't know the difference between an opinion and a fact.
Yes.
And they present an opinion as a fact and they back it up with evidence that doesn't have any logic to it. And then you have consumers who don't understand how to consume information, or who don't have the time to break that down and to really understand where it's coming from. And all of this, of course, as we've seen, is very corrosive to a democratic society. And so we really need to go back to how do we consume information. I don't think this is going to get better anytime soon. I don't think we're going to see less information coming in. I think we will see more and more independent journalists, many with their own motivations and agendas. moving forward. And so we really do need to start teaching people how to consume information, question the source, question the motivation of the source, and also just look at the logic behind it, right? I mean, because we are presented with some of these theories, and if you really just stop and think it through, like, it's just physically not possible, right? It goes against the world of physics. It goes against absolutely everything that we know. But that theory, will take off because it's good for somebody, and somebody is making money off of it or gaining power from it or whatever. So we really just need to, I think, go back to those basics.
That's such a fantastic response, and I completely agree. I think it's all about, assessing the information and making sure that you're perceiving everything in a very objective manner, I guess.
The other thing I think that's important, and I have done this, is I have covered a lot of sort of the Russia stories that have come out, is also question yourself, right? I mean, I like everybody else, I have my biases, and I have my political leanings and all the rest, and I'm sometimes hit with information, and I'll have my knee-jerk reaction to what it is. And then also sometimes I can get confused. I mean, when a lot of the sort of Russia investigation looking into 2016, I was getting confused because there were so many narratives out there and so many people knocking things down. And I was like, okay, so maybe I need to pay attention. Maybe this thing I thought was a fact isn't, because now this person is telling me that it isn't. And so sometimes you also need to step back. You need to understand when it's time to stop taking in information and step back and say, okay, what are the things I do know for sure, right? And what are those fact patterns? And just constantly remind yourself of those, so that then that logic piece will kick in again. And then you can come back to the new pieces of information and say, okay, does this fit? Does this make sense? That this would be the next step of it. So also, I think just stepping back sometimes and not reacting to every piece of information that comes your way, I think also can be really important.